I love making pizza at home. It's interactive. If you have kids, you can add all the toppings that you want. Plus, with store-bought pizza dough, it makes the whole process much easier. The only issue is sometimes stretching the pizza dough can be a real pain in the ass. So today I'm going to show you how to stretch pizza dough if you've been having trouble with it. Two things normally screw people up. One, they're trying to stretch out the dough and it's not moving. The dough is springing back and won't stretch out. Two, you're ready to stretch the dough, but you just don't know how to make a circle out of it. No problem. First things first, stretching out pizza dough. If your dough keeps bouncing back after you're trying to push it out, put the dough down. Just leave it alone. The gluten needs to relax. Good pizza dough is chewy. It's chewy because it has a lot of a protein called gluten. You've probably heard of it at this point. Pizza dough has a lot of it. If you need a visual aid, think of gluten like a hair tie or a rubber band. When you mess around with gluten a lot and you agitate it, it springs back really easily. You can't stretch it out. If you push it too hard, ooh, you might rip it. Put down the dough, let the gluten relax. Suddenly, it stretches a little bit easier. That's what you're looking for. So what I like to do is once my dough is together in a ball, if I find that I'm pushing it and I'm almost gonna rip it, it's just not stretching out, leave it alone, put a bowl over it. You can put a tea towel over it. My cats love carbs, so if I don't put a bowl over it, then they'll go try to eat it. So find something else to do for 15, 20 minutes, just walk away. And when you come back, your dough should be a lot more pliable. While you're working with your pizza dough or any bread dough for that matter, if there's ever a point when you feel like this isn't rolling, this isn't stretching, it keeps bouncing back, let it rest. You can let your dough rest at any time. So now you're ready to stretch your dough into a circle. So if you've had the dough resting part down, but you just don't know what to do next, now's a good time to jump in. So notice that I've floured my surface, not oil. Flour is gonna help your dough stretch out and keep that stretch. Oil is just gonna make your dough surf around. It's gonna be a lot harder to keep it stretched out. So I like to start by kind of squeezing the dough, flatten it into like a little disc, and then put your thumbs and your fingers on both sides and just kind of rotate it. Just kind of rotate it, squeeze with your hands and rotate. I kind of lift it up like this because I like gravity to help me out. The number one thing you want to be careful of is poking holes through your dough. Holes are really hard to patch up with pizza dough, so just avoid doing that altogether. And the best way to do that is to not use your fingertips. So now that I have my dough kind of stretched out a little bit, I'm gonna start really stretching it over the back of my hand. So this is happening with my knuckles. I'm using my knuckles to kind of do this motion where they're together, like a little cat paw, and then you spread out your fingers, and that motion will stretch the dough, paired with gravity pulling the dough down. It's slow going at first, and that's totally fine. And remember, if you feel like it's stiff, let it rest. So I'm using this part of my hand, kind of the back of my knuckles here, and the whole finger, just use the whole thing. That area, that surface area, is gonna help support your dough as it gets thinner. So you can stretch your dough out to be really quite large, but the larger it gets, the thinner it gets. And that's when it becomes dangerous to use your fingertips. So make sure you're supporting your dough with all of your knuckles. I'm gonna kind of show you the back, like underside here. You can see kind of where the dough is laying on my hands. So when you see like those videos of pizzeria folks like tossing the dough really high, we're not doing that today, but they are catching it on the back of their hands. So they're catching it on their knuckles like that, and they're keeping it safe. They're not poking holes in it. Now, as I go along, it's getting bigger, right? So again, I like to use gravity. I'm not chucking this in the air kind of gravity, but if I have kind of like a thick area, I'll just hold it there and kind of jiggle it around so gravity will pull it down. This is my very professional method, and it works every time, I gotta tell you. Now, it's really helpful to have a light source nearby, and I'll show you why. Pardon the kind of shadowy angle we have here, but you wanna hold it up to a light source so you can see the thin areas and you can see the thick parts of the dough. Concentrate on those thick areas and try to, preserve the thin ones, because those are getting really delicate, right? So Aim for the thick spots and you're just gonna stretch those out, even out your circle. So the key is to keep rotating it. That's how you're gonna get a really nice circle. And remember, even if your circle is kind of like an oval, that's okay. It's rustic, right? That's like more homemade. There's no problem with that. Honestly, practice makes perfect. So if you have to make pizza over and over again, you have my full support. All right, so you stretch it until you get the size you want, basically, or until you get into trouble and it's getting too thin. So your pizza's done. Now you can dress it however you like. I'm going for a pretty classic pepperoni pie today. So put it on your baking sheet, if that's how you're doing it, on your parchment paper, on a pizza peel like I'm doing it, and then sauce it up, get some cheese on there, and whatever else you want. So remember, 2 things. Always relax your dough if it feels like it's being stubborn, and stretch with your knuckles. Keep moving in circles, and that's how you get the perfect stretched out pizza dough. Thanks for stopping by. I hope I helped with your pizza endeavors. I'm Allie. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.